A majority of people aren't living authentic, real, or genuine lives. Why is that? In a world that seems to praise and admire everything fake, it is very difficult to stand out and be yourself. Hello everyone, my name is Andrea and welcome to The Truth Unmasked. Today I'm going to talk about why being real will get you ahead. Authenticity is defined as genuine, self-aware, true to your values and beliefs. It involves courage and vulnerability, being honest with yourself and others, being what you claim to be. Compare that to inauthentic or fake. Can be deceitful or manipulative, usually self-serving, projecting a false image, claiming to be something that one is not. It seems very obvious that one is better than the other. But when we look at the numbers, a majority of people aren't living authentic, real, or genuine lives. Why is that? In a world that seems to praise and admire everything fake, it is very difficult to stand out and be yourself when it goes against the majority. Like I talked about in my last video, we are conditioned to fit in, to go with the flow, even to the detriment of ourselves and our self-worth. Being real takes a lot of courage and self-awareness, which can be a long process and full of uncertainty. I am definitely not saying that I have it all figured out and that I am genuine myself all the time. But through a lot of hard work, I have come a long way, and the rewards have been more than I could have imagined. Today, we will look at why it's so important, what we can get from the journey, and how we can start making steps to get closer to our authentic selves. If you end up liking this video, please hit that like and subscribe button. It really supports my channel, so let's get into it. So why is being real so important? From all the reading I've done and the personal experience, being authentic can have a huge impact on our well-being, especially mentally. When you are real, you have to be honest, most importantly with yourself, and then with others about your values, passions, and goals. When we are working towards the things that truly matter to us, we feel a deep sense of accomplishment when we reach even small milestones. We are more likely to push through the hard times that will inevitably come because it is something we truly believe in, and it gives us joy to be working towards things and creating. I have come to the conclusion that we are meant to do things that bring us joy and use our gifts because, believe it or not, we all have unique talents that make us special. And when we aren't using these, there seems to be something missing. I said, most importantly, being honest with yourself, because if you are like me, when I started my journey, I hadn't been, and at that point, I didn't even know what my passions or goals were. So before I could live authentically, I had to figure that out. By doing this, we become more self-aware of both our strengths and restrictions. No one is perfect, and you will have both because that's life. When we become more self-aware, we can be honest with what we need, where we would like to see ourselves, and start laying out a plan to get there. We start to be more comfortable with ourselves and trust our judgment when it comes to making decisions. We start to understand when something feels right or when we are feeling uncomfortable and make choices that align with those feelings if it means saying no or distancing ourselves from people or situations that take away our peace. Authentic people usually have more supportive relationships based on mutual respect, feeling safe to be vulnerable, heard, and supported. You can more easily set boundaries and respect the boundaries set by those you care about. And you have people who you know have your best interest at heart and want the best for you as you do for them. When you have a good support system, you are able to be more courageous and take risks, which is vital to living an authentic life. Constructive criticism is really important, and we grow having people who can give us that. It really helps the process. I personally don't want friends who are not going to hold me accountable or point out ways that I can better myself, as long as it comes from a place of true care. When I was first learning this lesson, I got a little offended by some constructive criticism that a good friend of mine gave me. He said, "I'm one of your best friends, right?" Yes, of course. Well, if your best friend won't be honest with you, who will? And that always stayed with me. Being real also usually comes with a desire to learn, not being afraid to admit we don't know something or trying something new that we might not be good at. If it's something we really want to pursue, we know that it will come with time and practice. It seems so hard for people to just say, "I don't know much about that. Let me look into it and we can come back to this conversation." But why? Why do we feel we have to be the expert on everything? Or if it's not something you want to look into, just say, "Yeah, I'm not really interested in that topic. I'll take your word on it." I believe part of the willingness to learn also includes learning empathy, truly caring what others are going through and trying to feel what they are feeling so we can understand them and connect deeper. Some people have said we can't feel what other people feel, but I completely disagree. Maybe we don't know exactly how they feel, but if I meet someone who's lost everything in a fire, for example, and I've never had a fire at my house, I can still think about if I lost everything I owned and I don't know where I was going to go or what I was going to do, I can have some idea how terrible and scary that would be and adjust my reaction accordingly. Authenticity usually brings out creativity, since we are all different and have goals and passions that align with that. It leads us to expressing ourselves in unique ways, and genuine people usually are not egotistical, because we are less worried about impressing others or their opinions of our work or choices, and do it more for the personal satisfaction that we get and not the outside praise. If there are so many of these benefits to living genuinely, why is it so hard? I believe a lot of it has to do with our culture and especially social media. We live in a world that praises and applauds fake. When you are authentic, you will say the hard things. You won't agree with things you don't believe in. And many people don't want to hear that. They want yes people who are not willing to call out their BS, who are many times willing to go along with them so they don't have to grow or take responsibility. We all have those friends who are constantly posting on social media about their picture perfect lives. But we all know in reality, it's a complete mess. But they are getting the validation they crave by having this fake persona on social media. When people completely edit their pictures to the point you wouldn't recognize them in real life, but they are getting hundreds or thousands of likes, this perpetuates the idea that you need to be something you aren't. Fitness or beauty influencers who have obviously gotten surgery to achieve their results and are not honest about it I have nothing against people who have had surgery or procedures if that's what makes them happy. To each their own. It's the lying about it that I don't agree. But they have thousands or millions of followers comparing themselves to these unreal expectations and then feeling bad about themselves. When we say we value authenticity, yet those we support aren't authentic, what are we saying to the world? If that's what you like to follow, there's nothing wrong with that. We all have our preferences, but again, we just need to be honest and not say we value when people are real and transparent. Social pressure, what others will think about us, and being accepted also plays a huge part. We have pretty much been conditioned to want to fit in, to go with the flow and quietly conform to what others are doing or saying. And this is a real thing. It can be very difficult to go against the norm, to be genuine and open when others aren't doing the same. But again, look closely. Are most people realistically happy? Are they self-confident and free? Do they enjoy what they're doing and proud of themselves? In my experience, the answer is usually no. And if they are, it's probably because they're a pretty authentic person. We can't hold ourselves back because it may upset other people or they won't approve of our choices. The crowd doesn't care what we think, so why should we care what they have to say? This is a quote from Bette Midler. The worst part of success is trying to find someone who is happy for you. And that is really sad. We've been told that true friends are there for us when we are down. But I would argue, as she said, that it really shows who your true friends are when they are happy for your success. That is much rarer. I think this is a perpetuating cycle, both for the good and the bad. When we are inauthentic and we put out things that don't align with who we are and the person we really want to be, and we get a lot of positive feedback, that can make us feel like we need to conform more and erase more of our true selves to fit in or be liked. But it can also work the other way as well. When we are ourselves and do things that align with who we are, and people accept us and notice our talents and love us for that, it makes us braver to keep going and see that there are people who value the same things we do and support us. And that can give more motivation to continue. So now the most important part. How can we start practicing this and learn to be more authentic? First, we need to get back in touch with ourselves. I've done this by trying out things I thought I might enjoy, like new hobbies. It doesn't matter if the first few don't stick. You're still listening to yourself and exploring what you feel would make you happier. I realized after trying a lot of things that my hobbies as a child, things I had given up because they weren't cool, are things that bring me the most joy now. Reading, dancing like crazy to old music, being outside in nature, meeting or talking on the phone with friends. Do things that bring you peace and joy. That is an important first step. Taking quiet time to yourself to start listening to that small voice that should be leading us. I do this by meditating or doing meditative movement like Pilates. My favorite and something that has really helped me. Also, yoga or stretching. Journaling is a great way to see where your thoughts are, and I find it so helpful every once in a while to look back on the previous journal entries. It is a really great meter of how far I've come. We can sometimes feel we are not making much progress, because it is slow at times and we get used to our new normal along the way. But when you look back at a journal you've been keeping a while, it's very obvious, and that can be really encouraging. Maybe going to therapy. This was essential for me. I don't think I could have made the strides I did without a great therapist who helped me work through so much baggage that was keeping me stuck in a place where I didn't trust myself. It was a huge weight off of me to be able to open up to somebody about the things I felt were so terrible, and they didn't even bat an eye or judge. At least they didn't show it if they were. It made me feel like I wasn't crazy because before I went, I was really wondering. And they gave me practical steps that I could take to understand myself and my feelings. Although I believe therapy is such an amazing tool, I would say if you are going that route, really research who your therapist is and what they believe in. Just like in any field, there can be some therapist who I would never want to take advice from, and you want to make sure you are getting advice from someone who is qualified and living an authentic life themselves. Reading self-help and personal growth books, again, do your research and see what the people believe and their philosophy before diving in. My therapist told me about Brené Brown, and I've gotten so much out of her books. But I've read so many by different authors that have all given me pieces of advice that have been so valuable. Find someone who you resonate with, and remember, you don't have to take all the advice you get. Some of it will touch you and you will really agree with it. Take that and apply it. But some of it won't, and that's fine. You don't need to take that part. Start being more open with the people in your life that you trust first. Start slowly. If you're having a hard time, be honest with someone about it. If you want to speak up about something, speak up. Doing small things to start asserting yourself will give you more confidence to keep going. On the flip side, staying away or putting distance with the people or situation that are zapping your energy or causing you stress. If people or things are taking away your joy or bringing you down, then they are not good for you, and you need to listen to these signs your body is sending. Take care of yourself. Try to get enough sleep, eat healthy, do some exercise or walking to get your body moving. Drink water or less caffeine. It is amazing how much more clearly we can think when we make small changes in this area and when we are taking care of ourselves. And this is also a form of self-love. For me, getting outside, even for a short walk, does wonders. Don't follow accounts or people that make you feel bad about yourself or show unrealistic expectations. Try to find people who encourage and uplift you, who are also honest and make you feel like you can achieve these things. Be patient and remember, change takes time. And it's a process. Sometimes it will be hard. You may lose friends or feel self-conscious, but it is through these that we change and grow. As T. Harv Eker said, the only time you are actually growing is when you feel uncomfortable, as much as we wish it wasn't that way. I hope that you really enjoyed the video today, that it encouraged you and you got something out of it. Thank you so much for watching and supporting my channel. Let me know in the comments if there is something you would like to hear more about. Have a great day. See you in the next video.